First among roosters, then last among bulls. Of course, the meaning's clear. If you have to choose between being a chicken or a cow, pick the chicken. Cows are always being messed with by aliens. Cattle mutilations are up, you know. Why go looking for trouble, right? If an enemy spots you, you'll be in more trouble than a cow or a buffalo. Stay out of their sight.
Why would aliens be in an old Chinese proverb?
Showing all the conversations between Snake and Hunter. Old save conversations. Beyond.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 339. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
Hello, Greg. Go Blue Jackets.
Go Blue Jackets. You've switched your allegiance. You
No,
know,
not at all, but
you
I
don't
wanted-
like the Islanders anymore because they can't make the playoffs.
Nope, the Blue Jackets are, I'm forever an Islanders fan, but I'm rooting for the Blue Jackets because they're the underdog and they're playing the Penguins, and I hate the Penguins.
Yeah.
Threw away a 2-goal lead
But the
yesterday.
Penguins...
Why do you hate the Penguins? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. The
Chill out.
Penguins have a classic logo, and that's why they should be respected.
It's the Penguin with the hockey stick. Like,
What else do you need? That's all you need.
What is wrong with
the
Pittsburgh
Islanders, the
Penguins?
Islanders logo is so much better than that.
It is not better than that.
Yeah, it is.
No, the third voice you heard, of course, in the ever-rotating third chair is none other than the Reverend Jared Petty.
Greetings.
How you doing?
Glad to be here. Blood
Okay.
pressure's down.
It's down.
It's down.
Is it? You brought. I don't understand the. You said your blood pressure's down, and you walked in with this tub of nacho cheese.
Well, you may remember from last time that I've been eating pretty much nothing but soup for like several weeks,
Right,
and
no, you
that's
meant-
what almost
that's-
killed me.
I know that's
okay?
not soup. That's nacho
No,
cheese.
This is
Jared.
nacho cheese. Well, I stopped the soup. I got rid of the soup because
Uh-huh.
it turns out you're right. Soup is bad for you.
Sure, and it's
And
gross.
I started eating nothing but nacho cheese in the 6-pound, 10-ounce package. I've just been devouring these every day, and my blood pressure dropped like 40
Bullshit.
points. So
Bullshit.
that's what's happened. And this is the miracle diet right here: losing weight, losing blood pressure.
So you now
it's
back-
all nacho cheese.
You're on the medium. What kind of brand of nacho cheese?
Oh,
is
this is
Juanita's Mexican.
nacho cheese. Now, there's an amazing thing about nacho cheese economics I've learned. You know those little like Tostitos things you get and you dump on the chips? They're like $3.50.
Yeah.
You can get the 6-pound, 10-ounce thing of nacho cheese for like $7.
I remember we had a Halloween party growing up. I used to throw the annual Halloween party, and the first time we did it, we went to Sam's Club, which is like Costco if you're from some other part of the country, and that's where I discovered that they had these things. It's like the stadium nacho cheese you want, and I lost my mind. I was so happy.
It's funny, I'm the exact opposite. When I have the nacho cheese myself, I want nothing to do with it. I need someone to put it on the chips for me, and I need to pretend like it's better than the shit you buy in the store for me to eat it at like a ball game.
You have to
Sure.
have someone dress your chips for you?
Yeah, like I don't, because it grosses me out when I just see it. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it.
See, I look at that and I'm like, man, I could go for a Jimmy John sandwich that I just dunk in it and take a big old bite out of.
Nice.
I
Can you
just want
imagine
to.
it?
I want to
Yeah, I
tap
could.
this like a maple tree.
I mean, think about it this way.
Yeah.
What if we went over to American Sub Shop, the finest subs in San Francisco, this
Oh, they
corner
would
second
love
name
that
Brandon?
shit.
No, but we buy their Philly cheesesteak, and then we came back and whizzed it the
And
fuck
Whiz,
up.
but that's not really Whiz. That's
No, this isn't really whiz. This is going to have more substance. To
yeah,
it,
and it's got, I can see it's
It's
got the
weird that you like
jalapeno stuff.
Whiz more than American cheese on your cheesesteaks anyway. But you
That
do
is
it
a
the
little
right.
weird.
You do it the right way. That is the right way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put
That's
this
how
up
Whiz
on the shelf back there. I
Sure,
think. You've
yeah,
got a
okay.
Chris in the
You go ahead.
studio
I'll
here.
give the whole introduction.
Wait.
please.
I'm hijacking this
Oh,
podcast.
great. Okay, good. Finally.
So on Friday, I tweeted that I was having like a really bad
Right.
month. Not in a good mood. Not in
Yeah.
a good place. No idea why.
I sent you the Vince McMahon gif.
Yeah,
to
which
make
is
you better.
really is the best. And I actually like the text on top of it where it said like, when you come home and you realize you have a half a sub in your fridge.
When you come home drunk and you realize you have half a sub.
That's
I
the
don't
part-
understand. Every time I want a GIF of something and I go and I look for it, I find it, and I find it as just the image, and I copy the link and send it to somebody, but then it puts it up on somebody's Tumblr. I'm gonna bite off more than I can chew one day, and it's gonna be something really racist, and then the GIF I want.
It's so good.
I'm sorry, you're having a bad day.
Yeah, so I was having a bad day. I'm having like a bad, well, here, let me rewind, Greg.
Sure.
A lot of people tell us over the years, we've been doing Podcast Beyond for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And they tell us, Podcast Beyond really helps me on my commute, or Podcast Beyond really helps me get through a bad time, or
Yeah.
Podcast Beyond, helped me when someone died, or when someone, divorces, all these crazy things. We get all these crazy emails about like real life stuff about our silly, stupid podcast, right? And I've been like in this kind of dark and weird place the last like month or so. I don't know why, but like what's going on with me, that I'm in a bad mood. But even you don't know the reasons why, and I don't know the
Well, you
reasons
don't.
why.
Yeah.
And I just tweeted about it because I was like, I just need a break. Like I just need like something to just kind of go my way a little bit. And I'm not saying that like I don't have a good life or a lot of blessings, but you're just in one of those dark places, those dark, mysterious places. And what I realized was that we have a great support system around us of the people that listen to this podcast, right? And people that listen to Game Over Greggy's show, and the people that follow us on Twitter and read IGN and all these kinds of things. And I got an outpouring of support, Greg, the likes of which you've never seen before. So much so that I'm going to read everyone's name that tweeted
That
me
sent you
nice
something
things.
nice?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I like this a
wow.
lot.
So give me a few minutes here, all right? Because I didn't.
I pushed the mic away and started drinking my coffee.
Because I haven't tweeted anything at all since Friday.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of staying away from it. So I didn't want to answer anyone individually, but I felt like this might be more meaningful.
Sure.
These are the following people that supported me and tweeted me nice things and kind of brought me out of the doldrums a little bit and showed me that even though we help them, they help us too. And here they are. Kyle Desange, Drew Samuto, Brian McHenry, Michael Lodato, Kevin Yank, Joseph Giampapa. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of your names. Uchiha Madara, Joshua Gonzalez, Cole Henry, Patrick Young, Douglas Heinbaugh, Coco Gio. That's a Twitter name. Jason Shamblin, Rodrigo, Xavier Haneo, Daniel Freitas, Logan Moore, Jonathan Moole, Ian Shamrock, Mike Landis, Patrick Brezendine, Kevin Boccia, James Ross, John Payant, Derek Campbell, Robin, Liam Langan, Michael Chance, Anthony Gilroy, Brant Range, Johnny Salas, Matthew Silva, just Brendan, Rob, and this was my favorite tweet of all of them. Rob sent me this tweet. He said, "Keep your stick on the ice." I like that one. Chris Wan, Piero the Clown, Andrew Street, Todd Youngworth, Caleb Crawdad, Walker FTW, Engaged Family Gaming, Anthony Calderon, Kenneth Entz, James Joy, Alex O'Neill, Cody Richardson, Salo Vasquez, Virgil Davis, Bryan, Patrick Sutliff, Corne Who, Adam Avatar, SEB, Connor Bennett, John Ralphio, Trevor Thompson, Reed Schuster, JT, Beto, Adrian Jimenez, Matthew Blakely, Nick Van Alsten, Daniel Burke, Zach Sheppy, Ian Joey Arnoff, Casey Lee Kimsey, Garrick Batrup, Nick Lowe, Alex Harbosh, James E. Martinson, Michael McLendon, Truth, Robert Zaylor, Neil Devlin, Chad Tillman, John, Charles Donnelly, Jake James Lugo, Corey Wallace, Luke Mook Hoke. I don't know if that's his real name.
I doubt it is.
I don't know if this is the real name either. Slap the Badger.
I kind of hope it is.
I hope that's
Derek Dover, Sebastian Major, Murley, Duncan Henney, Juiceman, Chris Burdo, Richard Gordon, Casey Andrews, Sugar Bear, EU, Tilo, James Jackson, Justin G, Mario Piaquedo. I'm sorry, I'm saying that. No, I'm not saying that right. Jefferson Ferguson, Andrew Taylor, Michael Martin, Morgan, James Barker, Chris, Tyler, Ryan Tanner, Jamerson, Niels Thomas, Ed,
Creepy stuff like this?
Night City, Danny Duran, Matthew Billings, Stephen Oz, Sean, Brian Salmontez, Luke Land, Brendan Ryan, Asa Holm, Chris Harvey, Dave, Brandon Duncan, Brian Armstrong, Eric Schneider, Donovan Furstad, Martin Murphy, Mike Moran, Justin, Shay Castle, Patrick Garrity, Gordon Fluger, Elijah Uguma, Jason Andrade, Christian Farley, J-Bo, Dawson, David Smith, Daniel Van Orman, Oaks, Travis Warren, Patrick Brezendine, Stephen Weisar, Ben, Jeff Swan, Martin Benson, Fred Jackson, Wesley Bray, Kevin Bradley, Zach Tanner, John Horrigan, John Burrows, Michael Nelson, Tony Hooper, and then finally people I actually know in person. Or know personally. Eric Jensen from Sony Bend sent me a nice message. Both Justin and Jason Doss sent me nice messages. Mark Ryan Silly, who works in product here at IGN, sent me a nice message. Little Sin, who works at Apple, used to work here, sent me nice messages. Jordan Brown, a friend of mine, sent me a nice message. Mel Kirk from Zen sent me a nice message. Nikki Powell, our friend, a longtime listener. Leah Jackson, our new associate editor. Jared Petty. And of course, Greg Miller sent me a nice message. And what I wanted to do that for, even though it took a few minutes, and I'm sorry about that.
Don't be sorry for that. Yeah,
is that I want to show you guys appreciation, the same kind of appreciation that you've shown us in the past. You've helped me. And those messages helped me a lot. And what was cooler was that not one person said something bad or negative. It was all positive. And I appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's rad.
I mean, that's what it's all about. We're the internet's number one PlayStation podcast, but we've said it a million times before. If you listen to this, you are our friend. You are not a fan. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you for all of your support all the time, whether it be some dumb t-shirt we sell or if it's one of us is having a bad day and needs some help. Remember, Podcast Beyond posts is an MP3 every Tuesday. The video follows on Wednesday. Let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news.
There are 13 items.
Holy cow, it's a baker's dozen. Ding, 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 a ding.
I wish a baker's dozen was 11 so that a baker's dozen was a baker ripping you off.
Why?
If you went to a
better.
bakery, he actually didn't like you as much as the normal person. He gave you 11.
Why would you want that? That would mean 2 less donuts. That's not okay.
See, what I wanted to do-
I want the baker to be the dick.
I wanted it to be that we need to start a special thing here, that when it is a baker's dozen, I have some kind of lever to pull and rolls fall from the ceiling. Because that would be awesome.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. The problem is they'd be moldy because it's rare that we have the exact baker's dozen.
Well, maybe we could use like something that doesn't age badly. You know, there's got to be like Twinkies or something. Those can last for years.
Okay. All right, good thoughts.
Number 1. PlayStation 4 has officially sold over 7 million units, continuing its streak as the best-selling console in the history of the industry after 6 months.
Damn.
These numbers represent consoles sold to consumers and not shipped numbers. To contrast, Microsoft announced that it has shipped to retailers 5 million Xbox Ones, meaning that they have probably sold around 4.5 million to consumers. However, context is important. Xbox One is the third quickest selling console in industry history, behind Nintendo's Wii. In other words, console gaming is very healthy. So yeah, it's just a bad time at Microsoft because they're doing really well, but PlayStation
It doesn't look as well as it is, or
like,
as good as it is.
I've been looking at the lifetime ship numbers for all these consoles, man. Like they're, it's something like, I want to say after 6 months, PS3, 360 came out in 2005, PS3 came out a year later. If you take the first 6 months of each of their time on the market and combine them, and then take the first 6 months of Xbox One and PS4, these consoles are doing about 60% better.
Damn.
Yeah, and that's amazing against what's been moderate launch libraries. There's certainly things to play
Sure,
on both
sure,
of them,
sure,
but
sure.
there hasn't been that must-have thing yet. So I'm really, except maybe Resogun, which is so rad. But yeah, it's surprising to see that. I'm happy for that.
Why? Why is it happening this time? Why is it so successful? What's happening?
I don't know. I feel like, there are many reasons, and I'm not sure which one it might be. To me, I feel like there was a malaise at the beginning of the Xbox 360 and PS3 era because of two reasons. One, PS2 was selling so well, and it seemed like there was no PS2 sold 152 million units. Nothing's ever going to sell that well in the console space. Obviously, handhelds, I think DS actually passed it. So I think people were kind of holding on to the PS2. The PS2 had the DVD player, had all these things. People didn't feel like they needed these new consoles at the time, and then they kind of snowballed towards the end. And the other thing is, the numbers were spiked because of Wii. Wii was very popular, 100.8 million units sold, extremely popular. So I think that makes it like the third best-selling console of all time, behind PS2 and PS1. So that's an extraordinary number, but the attach rate on Wii was low, and Wii kind of burned a lot of people. There was no games for people to play on it. You had to wait. You had to be patient for the games that you really wanted to play.
Especially late in its lifespan.
Right, exactly. They just abandoned it. So I think people were hungry and eager, and I think that a lot of it is a rubber band effect from Wii U sales, and everyone was saying, like, man, console gaming is done. Like, look at the Wii U, and I'm like, no. Like, I think people were waiting for the hardcore media center kind of console with games and entertainment options, and it's new and it's pretty and it works well and it's fast and powerful.
You nailed it when you said hungry, man. I mean, it had been a long spell between that generation and this one. It's been a long time. We've had, console cycles are getting longer and longer. The last generation lasted a very long time. And I think people were just thirsty for something new. They were ready, man.
Yeah.
I was. I wanted to see these things come out. It was just thrilled.
Like when we talked to them about PlayStation Move, right, and how it works with the VR headset, and they talked about PlayStation Move really being Gen 1, right, and now they iterate for Gen 2, it's built in your controller, you don't think about it. I kind of see PlayStation 4 as like the Gen 2 PS3, right? Hey, here's this PS3 and it's going to get online, you're going to download games, it's not going to do any of that really well. And then you jump to PS4 and it's like, we learned from our mistakes, here's this better machine, right? They talked about it, dropping the cell and doing this and going to devs. I think that's an exciting message that, hey, we've learned from our mistakes, let's get on board with this.
Yeah. All I'm excited about is that these numbers, I really doubt PlayStation 4 can sustain these numbers. I think that when you look at the arc on the graphs, the Wii is eventually going to pass the PS4 because the Wii had this huge 2-year momentum where they just couldn't be found. I don't think the PS4 has that in it. So these numbers
are people still struggling to find them in stores? Is that thing?
I think it is somewhere, but you can go online and buy it. You could never do that with the Wii. The Wii stuff we've said before, artificial scarcity and all that kind of stuff, but it worked. And when you saw one, I saw two, and I bought myself one, and then I saw another one a few months later, and I just bought it.
Yeah,
right.
I walked into a Target and saw one, and I was like, I felt like I'd encountered Jesus in the parking lot. I was like, this is not possible.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant strategy, and the whole Blue Ocean thing for them was an interesting strategy that kind of backfired on them now. But and you should read about the Blue Ocean strategy. It's very, very interesting. It's not a Nintendo strategy that they made up. They actually it's a book. Anyway. So yeah, I think these numbers will relax. I think I wrote a piece last week that did really well actually about PlayStation 4's winning the war. But to not count Xbox out, that I think Xbox's announced games, Xbox One's announced games, Sunset Overdrive, Halo 2 Anniversary is largely rumored, I'm sure real. They have Project Spark and Quantum Break and all these games. Their library is actually much stronger than PS4's library later this year and into next year. I'm sure Sony has all these games that we don't know about. We'll get to that in a minute, but I would not count them out. By any stretch of the imagination.
Microsoft, they're not happy to be behind Sony, but I'm sure they're very happy to see millions and millions of consoles sold in this this cycle already. I don't think they're worried at all.
No, perception is reality for them. But
you put out a good tweet the other day that for something along the lines of a hungry enemy is the most dangerous enemy, right? I mean, E3 is going to be really interesting to see like what Microsoft comes out and says at their press conference and what Sony does as well.
Look
right?
what Sony did to Microsoft. Everyone just like let's not have our memories like get too short. Like PlayStation 3 was getting destroyed by Xbox 360. Like it wasn't even close.
Yep.
And the numbers were like much worse than this. And Sony over time, 2009 with Slim, 2010 with the games, Uncharted, you know, all like even games like Starhawk and Twisted Metal, like they were showing their willingness to release these games, and they are going to pass Xbox 360 if they haven't already in worldwide numbers. Like that took time. The numbers aren't that staggered here, and you know, Microsoft's not stupid. You know, like they have games. They realized too late that their strategy for Xbox One was wrong, and yet they still sold 5 million units.
Colin, one last question for you about this, if you don't mind. How's price going to affect this? Now, you point out again and again that games are cheaper than they've ever been, consoles are cheaper than they've ever been. But we are in the middle of recession, and Microsoft's console is $100 more than PlayStation 4's. Are we going to see an adjustment to that anytime soon?
Yeah, they're gonna. My prediction is they will lose Kinect, and I think you will see a Kinect-less Xbox One at
When?
E3. At E3.
At E3.
Yeah.
Okay, you said at E3, and then I cut you off.
$399. Like I think you know, Sony did the same thing. Like, you know, we broke the story that before PS4 came out that Sony was going to bundle PlayStation Eye or PlayStation Camera with the PS4, and they were like, we can't because we have to like undercut Microsoft.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, whatever, and they just put it on the side. The same thing's going to happen with Kinect. The only way to get the price down and for them to like at least break even or not lose too much money on every console sold is to get rid of Kinect. And if Xbox One is at $399, that changes everything.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and $100 is a lot of money. That's a game and a half, or a game and a PlayStation Plus subscription, or you know, 10 digital games,
Groceries
or, you know,
for a week, you know.
Yeah, or things that you need to survive in real life things.
Yeah.
So they'll change the game. I would be shocked if they don't remove Kinect from Xbox One. I'm sure it'll still be available if you want it, but it's not integral at all or essential at all to that experience.
What will Rare do with their time?
I don't know.
Colin, you mentioned your
I have
PS4 editorial. Sebastian wrote in and said Beyond.
Beyond.
My name is Sebastian Herr, German pronunciation. Don't know what that means. And I just wanted to say that your PlayStation 4 editorial was one of the best articles I've read on any subject. I was left satisfied as a reader, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Glad you liked it. Yeah, almost 200,000 people read that article, and that's uniques. And I was surprised by that. And I was happy by that.
You're surprised that you're a good writer and people are interested in
No,
what
I
you have to
appreciate
say?
that. I'm surprised that it did so well. That's an exceptionally high-performing editorial on IGN. No, I think that it. You know, sometimes you just have to connect the dots and keep things contextual. Context, like I kept saying, is everything. Like PS4 is doing very well, but so is Xbox One.
You're too humble, dude. You're awesome.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Number 2. Sony's announced that over 20.5 million games have been sold for PlayStation 4 at both retail and via PlayStation Network, giving the console attach rate hovering around 2.93. That's up from 2.4 in January. So that's a half a game per console more. Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's going to happen though. Now that the consoles settle again, the line graph as the consoles settle, the game sales will go up and those lines will intersect, and then the attach rate will go up. And Vita's attach rate's what, 14 or something like that. So
You
know,
keep talking about charts. Can we get you like a Ross Perot chart for the camera?
I fucking
You
love
sit there
Ross
and
We
do
just
that?
have we have a whiteboard
you have
here
no
at
idea
all
how much
times.
I loved Ross Perot when I was a kid. I absolutely loved him. I was like 8 years old.
There's a
And
surprise.
I was like, he's the fucking man.
Do you have a Perot shirt?
No, I didn't have a pro shirt. I didn't have a candidate shirt till Bush.
My
I had
mom
Bush
voted
came
for
in.
him, but she was embarrassed to tell people. I remember.
Here's the thing about, I don't want to get too into it, but here's the thing about Ross Perot, is that if in 92, he won 19% of the vote, which is extraordinary for a third party. But he dropped out of the race in the summer and then came back in, and if he stayed, he might have, I think he actually might have won that election. All you needed was like 35% of the vote.
He had a shot.
Yeah.
He had a legit shot until
it
he
was,
dropped out.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was weird.
Yeah.
That would have changed everything. Everyone complains about the two parties, but he almost won. Same with Teddy Roosevelt in 1912. I know you know all about that election.
Bull Moose
Big time,
Party.
man. Teddy rode in on his horse and he was just like, "What is up?
Why don't
Let's
parties-
get some steam engines going."
Yeah.
And I don't think I like the World Wars, and we need to look into them.
Bull Moose Party, Whig Party. Why don't we have cool names like that?
Yeah, the Whigs are basically the Republicans. I read something. Well, this is the Whig. There's like people that want to bring the Whig Party back, but that's whatever.
They're wigging out.
Yeah. Number 3.
Ah, look what you did.
I did it.
The Last of Us is getting new DLC called Grounded. Grounded touches on both the single-player campaign and multiplayer components of the game, giving single-player purists an all-new, extremely hard difficulty setting, and multiplayer gamers 4 new maps, 8 new skills, and 4 new weapons. The DLC's release date is still unknown. Apparently, it will come bundled in with the remastered version of PlayStation 4.
Interesting. This is what they called their documentary too. Last of Us
Grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. You should go watch it for free on Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Yeah, I'm excited about the difficulty setting. Eric Monticelli, who's a friend of ours, who's the community manager over at Naughty Dog, wrote a post on PlayStation Blog saying that getting the trophy for beating it on grounded might be the hardest trophy you ever get.
Ooh. Do you know anything about it?
No, but I know that when you play it on whatever crushing is on The Last of Us, that like you lose your ability to see through walls and you take like no damage. And so I can't even imagine like how hard it must be on that. So that's exciting. Number 4. PlayStation 4 was the best-selling console in the United States in March, outselling Xbox One. This is significant because March saw the release of Titanfall on Xbox One, which many expected would help Xbox One easily outsell PS4. I warned against this on Podcast Beyond, but I also expressed surprise that I was right on Twitter. It's worth noting that the Titanfall was the best-selling game of the month, however, with Infamous Second Son coming in second. South Park The Stick of Truth, which is my game of the year so far, was third. Call of Duty Ghosts was fourth. Dark Souls 2 was fifth. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes was sixth. NBA 2K14 was seventh. Final Fantasy X-10 2 HD was eighth, which is huge. The Lego Movie video game was ninth, and Minecraft was 10th.
Now, you said that South Park was your game of the year.
By far.
So far, Greg, of that list, which game would you
South
enjoy
Park.
the most? South Park for both of them?
Yeah. You?
Probably Dark Souls 2.
Okay, yeah. Here's my question. The bigger argument about Titanfall we had on this show was if it was going to sell more on a 1 or 360 or how PC or how that breakdown was.
Yeah, we don't know that yet, but I
wanted to just call it out for the fans.
No, that's true. But the one version obviously outsold PC because everyone's buying PC in person. Here's a little trick, because I don't think a lot of people know this. When you read MPD numbers, in parentheses next to each game are the consoles that they're on, but they're not randomly ordered. And a lot of people don't know this. They're ordered in order of best selling to worst selling. So that's why you always see Vita last, or PS3 or Xbox 360 first. So when you see Final Fantasy X 10-2, for instance, it'll say PS3, Vita. That means that PS3 outsold Vita. And a lot of people don't know that. So if Titanfall had come out on 360 and 1 in the same month, which they didn't, so we'll get the numbers later, then I assume it still would have said 1, 360. But we'll see.
We will.
All we know is that that's a huge hit. That game's a huge, huge hit. And I wouldn't be surprised if the sequel comes on PS4. Number 5. Sony has revealed that a significant firmware update for PlayStation 4 is in the pipeline and may be launched as soon as the end of April. Firmware 1.7 brings quite a few important features along with it, including an all-new, totally free video editing app called Share Factory, the ability to use external USB storage to grab videos from your PS4 if you want to upload them to places PS4 doesn't support, like YouTube, the ability to switch off HDCP so you can capture video directly from HDMI, and preloading, which lets you buy games before they come out, load them early, and then play them the minute they go on sale.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Preloading. I can't wait for it.
Removal of DRM. Woohoo!
Yeah, that's actually a substantial update.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Nothing I really care about, but I know that I'm in the minority.
You don't care about preloading?
No. I can wait unless it's like unless it's a huge game, and we're blessed to get the games early.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess that doesn't affect me like it affects normal people.
Oh, seeing the DRM stripped out, that's great. And I think it's neat the share editing ability to see what people do with that. Because,
right.
you're working on I'm just dipping my toe into the world of streaming, which I never saw the point of before, and I've discovered that when you do a stupid game, it's a lot of fun.
Right.
So I'm kind of interested to see what else you can do with that, and having the ability to edit out the worst parts very quickly and conveniently. That could be a lot of fun for folks.
Yeah.
Agreed. Number 6. Naughty Dog has lost more key personnel in the last week. Longtime art director Nate Wells has left the studio and has gone to Giant Sparrow, the Sony-supported studio that created The Unfinished Swan, and is currently working on their second of 3 PlayStation-exclusive games. Also gone is Todd Stashwick, who was cast as the voice actor and mocap actor for the yet-unnamed villain in Uncharted 4. According to him, he was recast. He's working on Star Wars with Amy Hennig.
Who used to work there?
Yep.
At Naughty Dog. Believe it or not, Colin, lots of questions were sent in to us about this. I figured we'd address most of them. Jason from Colorado starts and says, "Hey, Greg, Colin, and ever-rotating third chair.
Greetings.
Naughty Dog. This week 2 more people of the staff have left. How many more people have to leave before Sony decides to address it publicly? Especially a villain character that has been recast. Does this mean that the next Uncharted is a definite 2016 or even 2017 game by now? Thanks and beyond."
I don't know. I don't think this game's in good shape. If I were a betting man, I would say that the game is being redone in some way.
Yeah.
Todd Stashwick, we have to understand that mocap is half of what he does, not only voice acting. So, and he would tweet plenty of pictures of them in the studio doing all the mocap. So, if he's being recast, then they have to do all of that again.
It seems like, yeah. I mean, an outsider's perspective, right? You get rid of Amy, creative director. And Justin leaves on his own. Justin leaves. He's director. So now you have this gap to fill in. There's rumors. They've still never really been clear if Neil and Bruce have stepped up to do it or how this is happening. But it seems like a new team come in and is basically saying, yeah, Let's make our own story. That's what it really reads and looks
Yeah.
like, right? Like, let's make our own story and do our own tale, and that means, Todd, you're not part of it.
And I know people want this to be okay, but think about it in these terms. If you heard somebody was making a movie and 2/3 of the way through, the director, the executive producer, and a couple of other key people just walk off and are replaced in the middle of it,
Yeah.
you would be worried. I don't want to be alarmist, but something is rotten in the state of Denmark here, and how that'll affect the product. They'll release a good product, I think, but it'll take the time to do it.
that's the thing. It's still Naughty Dog. It's
Yeah.
still these guys who make amazing video games.
Exactly.
It really looks like they went back to ground zero right from the thing, and let's start again. Which does mean that, however far along they would have been in this project, right, that now they are back to square one. Because we were never thinking it was this year. We always talked about
people were like,
2015.
I guess it's not coming out this year. I'm like, you're crazy. If you ever thought that, if you ever thought that game would come out this year, first of all, they would never have a AAA, their biggest AAA exclusive with 6 months lead time. They would preview the shit out of that game. They would tease it and tease it and tease it. I think the only reason they even revealed it in December was because it seems like there are no games.
Yeah.
I'm sure they regret that in a major way now. But they couldn't see. That also tells you that the trouble started this year, which is interesting. There's a lot to be told there. I'd like to tell that story one day, but I don't know the details of it. I agree with you, Jared. I think that there's plenty of reason to be concerned about Uncharted 4. I think that before Amy Hennig left, my personal take was that it would be the fall 2015 game on PS4. I don't think that that's going to happen. But there are rumors that it's going to be at E3. So.
I say no way.
I don't know how that's possible. The only thing that could possibly be is that the mocap is done with Stashwick. He obviously has been paid for his services, and they killed, they gave him his kill fee or whatever. He's gone, and they're just using a new voice. I mean, it could easily be as easy as that, but I don't think so, because the performance capture that Naughty Dog is so into is a combination of mocap and vocal performance.
Yeah.
That is the idea.
Yeah.
So they don't have with Uncharted 1 when they were when Nolan North was in the studio just doing the movements or whatever, then he had to go into a booth and record the voices again. So that's not the idea anymore. That's not the way it goes. That's the same way with Infamous Second Son was recorded in the same way. So there's plenty of reason to be concerned. I would kill to be a fly on the wall in that studio.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I'd love to know this whole story. At best at E3 you get a new Uncharted teaser trailer with Nathan Drake's voice, and there's no gameplay, nothing like that. It's similar to what we saw at the reveal, right? And it's that, and then it's a date to shut everybody up and be like, this is what's happening. This is our official statement without saying our official statement, right?
They always do announce the date early.
Yeah.
Very early.
But I mean, this date's going to be out there. I mean,
2016.
Yeah, at best.
But
at best right now, I think
If
2016.
anybody in this industry can afford to wait, they can.
Sure.
So, they're going to be fine.
But this just all goes back to what Colin was saying. I'm sure they're like, why the fuck did we have to say anything? If we had said nothing, nobody would know. It wouldn't be, Amy left and Justin left. I wonder if they were working on the next Uncharted. No big deal. Right now, the only 3 names ever connected with Uncharted PS4 are gone.
Yeah.
Gone. That's insane. Jesus.
And it tells you a lot of things. It tells me, like I've said before, obviously Amy was removed, right? We know we don't know how that happened or why that happened
Right.
or who did it or whatever.
Right.
But she was removed from the project. That's her game. That's her franchise. She made the game. She wrote the game. She made these characters. She's responsible for all of it. And then Justin Richmond leaves. We know Justin Richmond, and he left on his own. But I'm sure he left when every shit was going down with Uncharted. Nate
Certainly
Wells
looks like
leaving
that.
is consequential too. I mean, he is the art director of the studio.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he has his hands on a lot of different, all their different games.
Another cool kind of symbolic.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and now, Stashwick leaving is just like, okay.
And I hope people don't think we're sitting here boiling the pot. This stuff does mean something.
Oh, no, people think we are for sure. They definitely think we're stirring up trouble for no
This
reason.
is not trouble for no reason, and
It's just
not,
a
nor
fascinating
is it idle
story.
speculation. I agree, but I've heard a lot of people throw accusations around the site that Colin's somehow in this to stir up trouble and generate more clicks about it. No, from the departure of Hennig and the way it happened on, it's been obvious something's wrong. It's not idle speculation. There is a easy deductive process. You've expressed it many times. Guys, we love this stuff. We want Uncharted to be so good, but we're not going to pretend when something is obviously
I mean, it's
a
one of
little
those.
wrong.
It's the vocal minority that sounds off in the comments of stop
Yeah.
talking about this IGN. But again, the Beyond mailbag was overflowing with questions about this.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
reasonable, and of course, we don't have that kind of agenda. People think, there's all this conjecture out there. Naughty Dog invited me into their studio for 4 days last year and let me talk to everyone. It's not like we have, and we have the history of Naughty Dog Part 5 will be up soon, and you know, like we have a good relationship with them. You know, like it's like kind of silly to assume that we have like an axe to grind. Obviously,
This always goes back to the, you know, the thing we always talk about, right? When like, oh, you guys are so biased towards Sony and da 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 da, and it's like, sure, we know all these people and we work with all these people and we worked with them for years, and for years everything has been great. So it's just been, hey, how is everything? How is it everything? Now it's like everything's shit.
Yeah, you got to
and
call
we
it
still
like
have
it
to
is.
keep reporting on it.
There's
It's
that,
not like
yeah.
I can be like, well, I knew Guy X from Naughty Dog, so I can't talk about this.
You
We
call it
can't-
like you see it, right?
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing, if you know Naughty Dog's history, is they've only had turnover like this once before, and it was in between consoles. It was in between PS2 and PS3 when like they hemorrhaged people, and they were in like a bad state. And I think they're kind of seeing it again. PS4 has not been easy to develop for, probably. The Uncharted 4 probably wasn't shaping up the way they wanted it to, and all these kinds of things. Yeah, we have to tell the story. The story, like Greg said, the story's always been how fucking awesome Naughty Dog is, and how amazing, how stable, and like they are, and how they just output these awesome games, and how do they do it? Now the story is, are you still going to do it? You know, and I think that's a reasonable story to have.
And it's so. It's think about this. We talked about this a year ago. How preposterous this would be. That, oh, they'll announce Uncharted 4, and then everything will go south. Everything will go to hell.
Now, Colin, I got one to call you on here, though. Okay, you mentioned the history of Naughty Dog.
He's
Part
about
5.
to nail you.
Okay, I'm gonna
Vampire strike.
I'm pointing my very hungry caterpillar pencil right at you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to know. History of Naughty Dog Part 5 at this point has become almost winter is coming.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
all right.
No
you
doubt.
are George R.R. Martin.
Yeah,
in
no,
this.
for sure.
George
When-
Railroad Martin.
I want to hear it now. When are we going to see this?
May. Probably.
Okay, May. Cool.
I mean, so a lot of people have been saying that, and that's true, because I wrote the first one in September, October.
Yeah.
These stories obviously don't go away and become less timely, of course, because it's history. It's
Exactly.
Not current.
Oh, yeah, I'm just picking on you
but
because
no,
it's fun.
it's just they're extraordinarily hard to write, and like I need to have a like week to do each piece,
So
like literally
fuck
a
off,
week.
Jared.
Um,
yeah, no.
And
yeah.
since I'm kind of drowning at every second of my life with work, that it's hard for me to carve everything. My intentions are always pure. History of Sucker Punch will definitely be after E3, though.
Yeah, that'll be after.
I have
E3.
all the data
Yeah.
for it. I just need to write
Oh,
it.
you think we'll see it in May?
If I don't have it out in May,
Okay.
it's never going to happen.
June 1st, I'm going to tackle you.
Yeah.
Tackle.
Okay,
I'll do that
it'll be
right
fine. It'll be fine. It'll be happening in May. This is actually the easiest one to write to. I
Is
don't
it?
know like
Cool.
why I'm
That's
putting
awesome.
it off. Number 7. The PlayStation Now beta is underway, and there's a lot of interesting information on there that gives us a window into what the service will offer when it launches this summer. Game rentals are available for 1 day, 7 days, or 30 days, which you've already known. New games have also been added to the store. Here are the games that have been recently added: Ben 10, Omniverse 2, Contrast, Eat Them, Fuel, Grid, Heavy Fire, Shattered Spear, Lumines, Supernova,
Woo!
Night in a Dreams, Pixel Junk Racer Second Lap, Pixel Junk Shooter 2, Puppeteer, Retrograde, and Sniper Elite V2. That's in addition to all the games that we've already known.
If you aren't
about
getting
on the service.
Luminous, man, just fuck off.
Yeah, I remember how obsessed you are with the Luminous one. Vita came out in particular.
Yeah, yeah,
Electronic Symphony or whatever. What was that?
yeah. That's right.
Number 8. It looks like The Walking Dead the game is coming to PlayStation 4. GameStop listed an unannounced version of the game for PS4 called Walking Dead Game of the Year Edition. It will reportedly come out in mid-June and cost $29.99. This is in line with previous Game of the Year editions for the game, which were released across multiple platforms already.
This is exciting because will it finally run? Will this be the version that shows on a console? Like, the pass I've always given Telltale, right, is like they make their games for PC and they run fairly well there if they're not eating your save.
Yeah.
And then they bring them over to 360 and Vita and everything else, and it gets really shitty and like you can't handle the engine. And I understand that that's a hard conversion, horsepower, yada yada. We are now at a place where the PS4 and I would imagine Xbox One are running so well as such a PC. Can almost Game of the Year from last year step up and run okay on this?
It's practically a PC, like you said. So,
That's 2
speaking
years ago,
out of my butt about things I know nothing about, it's a basic x64 architecture. So, yes, I call it.
You think
Yes.
it's going to happen? You
It's
think
gonna
we're
work.
going to be okay?
It's going to work as well as the PC version does.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And
Colin.
I have no reason to say that except that, why not? It's PC.
Chewels writes in and says Beyond.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, why does the Xbox One and PS4 get a pass when they re-release games like Tomb Raider and The Last of Us and The Walking Dead, but the Wii U gets crucified when it did the same with Mass Effect 3 and Arkham City? Thank you for your time.
I think the better example of the crucifixion was Wind Waker, not those two games. But
Really? The people didn't like Wind Waker coming out?
no, people would give it shit. It's like it's not even a real Zelda. I
Oh,
agree.
fuck
in
that,
Those
man.
this.
Wind
people need
Waker's
to die.
awesome. Wind Waker's
Yeah.
awesome. That was
I
hard.
Those people need to die in a fire.
This man used to be a reverend.
Okay, die in a fire if you hate on Wind Waker.
I love Wind Waker too.
Yeah.
Wind Waker's an amazing game.
But
Don't talk
and I've
shit
always
about
said that, and I hate this. I've said this before. This fucking revisionist history about this game is unbelievable.
But it
I've never
feels
seen
like-
anything like it. Everyone hated that game when
Yep.
it came out. Zelda was what everyone called it. CELDA everywhere for years. Everyone hated it. Now suddenly, me, and I loved it. I was like, Wind Waker's awesome. It's like
Yeah.
one of my favorite Zelda games.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, blah, blah, blah. Now suddenly, out of nowhere, 10 years later, everyone loves Wind Waker. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I remember, sir. I remember.
I fought in the foxhole, sir.
I remember the GameFAQs message boards about that game. I remember all that stuff. People, the revisionist history is wild about that game.
I held viewing parties in my dorm room, so it was loved on the University of Missouri campus. I'll have you know. So yeah, this is an interesting question, right? Like we do get excited that Last of Us is coming. Oh man, for me, I guess it's the fact that Mass Effect 3 and Batman Arkham City were touted as like day one releases for the Wii U as this awesome thing, and they didn't have any other games really to back it up, right? Like if that makes sense. Like they're like, you know, Infamous and Titanfall, and like granted those were after the fact, but they were close enough that you were like, that's awesome. This is why I'm buying it. Whereas with Wii U, it was like I'm buying it for Zombie U and the Mario. You know what I mean? Like there was this like
I've got
disconnect.
an alternate theory
Please.
that's close to that, but I think that some of it comes from the fact that Nintendo, especially of all companies, because of their long legacy and the way they design games, is accused of being derivative. I mean, Mario games are still Mario games, and they have been since 1985. They are better and better, or you know, at least they are very good and solid. But Nintendo, in particular, recycles ideas and innovates on them.
Yeah.
That is their thing. They do that more than Sony does in most cases. They do that more broadly than Microsoft does. They do that more broadly than almost any other developer. And I think by extension, their third-party games get stuck with that because they're appearing on Nintendo platforms. I really think that's where the mentality comes from, and that's why the Wii U remakes take so much more crap, even though they're third-party, because people are associating it with Nintendo's tendency to go back to their first-party ideas and create games that are similar to ones that have come before. I really think that's where it
The
comes
big
from.
thing too is like Nintendo's never known for its third-party support. You buy a Nintendo system for the exclusives, and so then for them to come out, and I remember the Wii U was next gen. It was the next step for video games. It was more powerful than PS3 and Xbox 360. So to come out and be like, this is the version of Batman Arkham City, which is old, that you need to buy. This is the version of Mass Effect 3, which is old, you need to buy. That was the other thing that I think that didn't fit right. Like for, you know, Last of Us Remastered, it's like, here's this awesome game that you didn't buy back then. They're not making it, at least not yet, and probably not, knowing how Sony markets, not banging the drum of like, man, this is the best thing ever, and you've never seen it before. You've never played it. This, you know what I mean? Like this, people know Last of Us. Here's this great game, go play it. Whereas this was a bigger deal.
And I've been a pretty, you know, personally been a pretty vocal critic of the re-releases. It was fun for a little while, like we've always said, God of War collection, Sly collection. And then it just got out of control, you know. Like everyone was doing it just because we kind of got what we asked for. It's like just re-release it with trophies.
Yeah.
And then they did it. But yeah, I've been a critic of that too on PS4. You know, a lot of these games are available multi-platform. A lot of these games are older. I didn't play Tomb Raider and all that kind of stuff on PS4 because I don't care. And I agree that The Last of Us is exciting on PS4, but it's not what's needed. It's actually probably going to sell PS4s because that is one game that people would buy PS3s for, and probably why they didn't want to announce it yet.
Right.
Because they can still sell these units.
And I guess that's a big part of it too, right? Is like Last of Us Remastered is a system seller because Sony knows you didn't buy a PS3. A lot of people didn't buy PS3s. A lot of people didn't play these games. So now you have this PS4. We have this install base. We're giving it to you. Whereas Wii U is like, we know a lot of you owned 360s and PS3s and had a chance to play Mass Effect and had this, but here it is again. You know, if that makes sense. There's not an original experience from a third party.
It does make sense, and I think the one key metric that I think people ignore generally with Nintendo and the waning popularity of Nintendo, which is undeniable, is very simple. And this could be best shown in a graph, but you can just it can
If only we had the whiteboard.
If only we had a whiteboard here.
But
I am bringing you one next time I come on.
Ignore handhelds for a minute, right? Their handhelds are exorbitantly popular.
Mario Golf.
I mean, 3DS isn't as nearly as popular as DS, but it's very popular.
Yeah, but how can it be in this
April
universe? I don't think that's Nintendo's fault. I think that's the fact that the world changed.
But there's this interesting thing that like people are surprised in Nintendo's waning in the console space, right? And just look at the numbers, right? And these are approximate numbers. NES 60 million, Super Nintendo 50 million, N64 30 million, GameCube 25 million, Wii 100 million, Wii U 6 million. You know what I mean? There's this like aberration during the Blue Ocean strategy that got the consoles out there, but the whole slant has always been down.
The slant in sales has been down, but the slant in profits hasn't been until there's one dip. That's a whole other chart.
And that's because I think a lot of the profits, GameCube was actually even profitable.
Oh yeah, they made tons of money on GameCube
because it's not a powerful system and it doesn't use proprietary proprietary technology that they have to source from everyone. A lot of them gave them shit for not even having DVD, but they would have had to pay $10 GameCube to have a DVD player in there. So these were smart, and also the handheld market, Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and then into DS like that. Those lines are actually, it's if you count the Game Boys together, even the line goes up from like 100 to 150, and then down again to like 35. But like, I guess what I'm saying is, Nintendo hasn't been as popular in real terms in the console space as we've always assumed, and the Wii was the aberration that confused everyone, because everyone acknowledged and knew this in the GameCube era,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Like GameCube was my shit when I loved the GameCube. But it's only sold 25 million units.
Yeah.
Like it's not at all impressive, and that's only 5 million less than the N64 sold, which was destroyed by the PlayStation.
Well, the
And
N64
SNES
was fundamentally flawed, but that's a whole other.
That's true.
discussion.
And SNES, a lot of people forget that SNES was getting beat for a long time, and the only reason that it won against Genesis was because of the late tail of a lot of games that came out for it.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2, Donkey Kong Country,
yeah.
things like that.
Like, there was a lot of heavy JRPG support from Square Enix or Squaresoft at the time that kept the system relevant for a longer period of time than Genesis was. So they're fighting history, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, the Wii was the blip, like the unusual thing on the radar. Wii U is not going to be anything, and that sucks, and that's sad for them, which is why they need to get, and I understand there's all these business and hardware realities. They need a beautiful Vita-like handheld, a powerful handheld that can talk to your TV, and that's like whether it's by a dongle or a wire or whatever, and that's their shit. If they made like a powerful Nintendo handheld that wasn't a tablet with single touch that looked like a toy, when everyone uses iPads.
That's the gamepad he's making.
Well, I mean, it's
true.
true.
It's
Yeah,
true.
there are
When
so
you put
many
that
ways
next to
that
an iPad, it's like, okay, like
it didn't look as bad when it came out. They didn't give us anything to do with the darn thing. When they had a window, they blew it. There's 40 ways this discussion can go, but I absolutely agree. You've got a good point there. I don't know how a high-end piece of portable hardware that interfaces with your TV would do. It's an intriguing idea. I'd buy one.
I think it would do awesome.
I think
if it was just the DS, right, and not the DS, but I'm saying if it was just if you could get the quality experience that you get on your DS on that, and then put them like Mario Golf. How obsessed I am with Mario Golf. If I go get Mario Golf on the big screen, fuck yeah, all right.
Yeah. I think the thing did much worse than expected. You raised just so many good points there. I think that. Yeah, you had to think about Nintendo's an attach rate oriented company. Again, you talk about, you're always pointing on attach rate. People buy lots of games for it. With even the Wii U, there haven't been enough to do that with. But I want to go back for a second to what you said about collections like 5 minutes ago. I agree with you that there have been an oversaturation of collections, but I do disagree with you a little. I'm glad there are. Not because I'm going to buy them all necessarily, but because they give people that are a few years younger and didn't play those games a chance to play them.
History.
I am always a fan of preserving that history. So they rely on them too much from a marketing standpoint, but I'm really glad they exist because they're going to give kids that were 8 and are now 13 a chance to play games they would never have touched when they were 8.
So is that another reason you think that Wii U, in quotes from Chules here, is saying is getting crucified? The fact that does a Mass Effect 3 Batman Armored Edition really matter to the Wii U as much as...
Not as much as it does to Sony, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So yeah, good point. Really good point, Greg.
Yeah, Nintendo's just in a situation where they can't win, right? Like, we always talk about their waning third-party support, but the fact is that their third-party support was huge in the NES and SNES era, which we already know. In fact, it was so big in the NES era that they limited how many games people can publish on their system every year, 5.
Yeah.
And that's why Ultra came out, which was just a shell company and like all this kind of stuff.
But they
All
pulled
these
that off
companies
because
with their names
they
spelled backwards.
had third parties by the cojones.
Yeah.
And the moment these folks could get away, they did. And for a long time, they did not forget that. I mean, Nintendo dug its own grave on that. They made money hand over fist, but they also alienated the people who could have kept them going through the next decade.
Read Game Over.
Yeah,
That's in there.
exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Everyone's asked what that book about Nintendo was. Game Over. It's the
Game
best
Over.
video game book ever.
Yep.
And they go into that about Nintendo's totally Byzantine fucking system for like they had to buy cartridges from people. They can only like Ultra. A lot of people don't know this. Konami was a company obviously back then. They're releasing Castlevania, Metal Gear, Contra. They created a shell company called Ultra, which was a publisher, just to release more games because they were not allowed to release more games under the Konami name.
5 a year.
Yeah. So that's when you saw Blades of Steel and stuff like that come out under Ultra. I think even Metal Gear actually came out under Ultra. Right?
Metal Gear was an Ultra game. Yeah.
So, and the SNES era, people didn't forget about that. The cartridge expenses were huge. By the time you got to N64, where your cartridges were really expensive and you can put things on CD and do more. Remember the Final Fantasy VII ads that were basically make fun of N64, make fun of cartridges because like you couldn't do this kind of stuff on the N64, even though the N64 was technically more powerful. It just was a different way of looking at things. And ever since then, except for GameCube had really early third-party support, but other than that,
But again,
Yeah.
Nintendo didn't know what to do with it by that point. They'd been away from it for so long. Yeah, and oh goodness, we could talk about Can we talk about this for like 2 hours? Because I would love
Sure.
to.
Go to
but-
NVC.
Okay,
Just
there we
watch.
go.
Make Jose cry. Make Jose cry when he's like, "What?" No, third party.
But
Mario Golf.
but real quick, we'll get back to PlayStation. I promise. the nail in the coffin of Wii U, I think, was announcing the delay of the Wii U version of Smash Brothers. The fact that they're prioritizing the 3DS version says everything you need to know about how they feel internally about the Wii U.
Yeah.
And while Wii U is going to sell some more units because of Mario Kart and Smash Brothers, when those games come out, and Zelda,
Mario.
it's not it's not going to turn around for Wii U. And just keep this number in mind: 4 million. That's how many copies Skyward Sword sold on Wii, with an attach rate of so that would be an attach rate of like 1 in 6 consoles, 1 in 5.5 consoles. Terrible. The attach rate of Zelda Ocarina of Time on N64, 1 in 2, 15 million sold.
Damn.
Right. That's what they're losing
And those numbers say everything. So when people say, "Oh, a Zelda game will save Wii U," well, it only sold 4 million on Wii, and guess what game outsold it that came out at the same time? Uncharted 3. And no one would have ever guessed that was going to happen.
No, not at that point.
So in other words, that everything's just changing.
Yeah,
Everything's
definitely.
changing. Number 9. That was fun. Number 9.
That was fun. I would talk about N64 all day.
I love Nintendo. I love talking about Nintendo. They're in my heart forever. Number 9, Sony Computer Entertainment America has trademarked 2 new game titles, indicating 2 new PlayStation exclusive games likely for PS4 or Vita are incoming.
Come on,
the first
knob
game is
switch.
called Entwined, and the second game is called Kill Strain.
Damn it.
We literally know nothing else about these games other than the fact that the trademarks are identified as being for game software.
And Twine sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah, Entwined is interesting. Kill Strain, I hope, is not a Guerrilla game. a lot of people have been saying Kill Strain is Siphon Filter.
Oh, well, it's a better name than Siphon Filter.
I think Siphon Filter is a good name, but like maybe they're gonna reboot it and call it Kill Strain or something. Because wasn't there the Omega Strain in Siphon Filter? So maybe there's a connection to that.
Colin Moriarty, you see things that other men miss.
Entwined, I hope is Guerrilla's game, and I hope it's an open world RPG like we've been hoping
That'd
for.
be amazing.
Forever. But I don't think they're ready to go on that yet. But these indicate, remember,
Somebody's got to be ready to go at E3. Somebody's got to be ready to talk
That's
about
what I was going
something.
to say. A lot of people are like, well, you don't know if these are going to be made. First of all, they're trademarked as game software, so they are game titles, and they will be made. And this is exactly how the order leaked last year before E3.
Okay.
So
Great.
yeah, so exciting.
Yay, more gameses.
More IP, which I'm very excited about.
That's good.
Number 10. The Assassin's Creed franchise has exceeded 73 million units sold, explaining why a new Assassin's Creed game comes out every year without fail. Ubisoft also revealed life-to-date sales of the Just Dance franchise, which is at 48 million copies. Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, and Ghost Recon are Ubisoft's 3rd, 4th, and 5th best-selling software titles. All Tom Clancy, RIP.
Tom Clancy's Just Dance.
Now, this is the most exciting news of the week for me.
Oh, right.
Tales of Hearts R has been confirmed for Western release. The PlayStation Vita exclusive JRPG was released in Japan in 2012 and was one of 2 Tales games on Vita, along with Innocence R, to be released in the East. There's no release date yet, though it'll be out by the end of the year in Australia, Europe, and North America.
Games I will buy. There is one.
Hell yeah.
John writes into beyond.ign.com just like you can with a Vita-related question. He says, I've noticed there is some games that I prefer on Vita than on other platforms. Spelunky, for example. I get farther and have more fun on the Vita than any other console. Hotline Miami, and more recently Dead Nation, I prefer on my Vita. The games aren't necessarily better, I just enjoy them more on the system. Do you have any examples of this, and what games not available now do you think you would feel that way about?
If a game's available on both Virtual Console on 3DS and on Wii, I'm going to buy it on 3DS probably. I like
Interesting.
old Nintendo games.
Do you just like having them with you?
Yeah, I mean, I like not just that, but I like the way they look. I'm like, oh look, they're right up there. I feel like I'm sitting close to my television, like I did when I was a kid.
Sure.
I'm just sitting right up there with it. I enjoy that. He mentioned Spelunky. Spelunky's great. Tetris, even though I had Tetris for PC before playing the Game Boy version, I just feel wrong if I'm playing Tetris in any other way than in my hands.
Sure.
Tetris I have to play in my hands. Most RPGs, frankly, I prefer on handheld. It's again, I think it's that I was a PC gamer, and it's that feeling of intimacy where you lean into the monitor or where you're a little kid up close to the TV. It's right there in front of me, and it just feels comforting.
Yeah.
So if there's a handheld version of a game, I'll probably play it there and not on my TV, even though I still play a lot of games on my TV.
Recently, this happened to me with Guacamelee. When we got Guacamelee, I played it primarily only on the Vita, and then I was like, oh, I'm finally home for the weekend. I put it on the TV, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. It's
really?
beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just like, I was so used to doing it one way that I couldn't switch over. Also, Sly Cooper. I like Sly Cooper Thieves in Times way more on
Yeah,
PS4.
I know
PS
you
Vita.
felt that way. I disagreed about both those games. And All-Stars, too. All-Stars was not as good on Vita.
No, I agree with that.
All Stars just wasn't good.
But
No, bullshit. Get out of here.
All Stars is a bad game.
It
No,
is
it's
not
not.
a bad
All-Star was
game.
a bad
no,
video
it's
game.
not. You're crazy. It's a great game.
In what way
8.0,
was it a
IGN.com.
bad game?
It's an unfun fighting game, and that's hard to do.
Unfun. How much fun do we have?
We had a
We
blast.
had a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, but you guys are cretins. I mean, come on.
Oh my God,
Or
Jared.
croutons, or something like that. I can't
Go eat
remember
your
which.
nacho cheese.
No, it's a game. Oh, look, my back's open. Oh, I'm going to die. Look, I'm building up. Oh, look, I built up to a thing. Oh, I'm dead.
Just talks like a bitch who never
Oh.
learned how to play.
Oh, I hate that game.
You're
Oh,
bad
I
at it.
tried
Just
to- I
admit you're
wanted-
bad. Just
no,
admit
no,
you're bad
it was
at it.
so
You didn't know
rad.
how to play.
I was so disappointed. It looked so good, and it was so awful.
It was
and there
good.
no
It was
excuse.
awesome. That's what
It
it
is
was.
hard to screw up a fighting game. There are lots of examples of the way to do it right, and they're like, I love that they tried new things, but they failed terribly.
No, you're wrong.
Spike was the fucking beast mode in that game. Tell you
Get
what.
Sweet Tooth out there, drop some mines.
Greg was the cheapest motherfucker, man.
Was he? Yeah.
But they always say about cheapness in video games. Mark Ryan used to say this to me because we used to play Street Fighter 2 all the time
Yeah.
together. And I was pretty good at Street Fighter until I met Mark Ryan, and he just fucking destroyed my will to ever play the game again. He's like, there's no such thing as cheap in video games. He's like, if you can get out of anything that I do to you. Like, you just throw or like, Saget, like throwing, like tiger, like over and over again. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, you can get out of it.
Yeah, there's a way around it.
Like
Mark Ryan told me, is this correct, that he beat you at Marvel vs. Capcom 3 100 out of 100 games?
That was on a live stream.
MVC2, yeah, but yeah.
MVC2, okay.
It was live stream, yeah, 100 out of 100 times, and I could pick his party.
That's unreal.
Yeah, so I'd
Wow.
make him play with like Roll and Servbot and I don't know, BB Hood or something like that.
And he still beats you.
He's a beast at that game.
Oh, watching him and Vince play
I got
Marvel
him a couple
is
times
nuts.
almost though. And the deal was that if he lost, that he would resign his job, that I would become like the manager of that, and then I would hire him back in my position.
That's amazing. Wow.
Hey,
The way he
property.
tells it, you were never close, so that's
No,
interesting.
well, he's
Okay,
lying about
okay,
that.
all right.
I was close a couple of times. Like I had him down to like one character, like half health.
Okay.
You've played Dead Nation. You reviewed all the both versions for PS4 and Vita.
Yeah.
How does it go to Vita?
Not well. Well, it's fine on Vita. It's good on Vita, but it's
Yeah.
not nearly as good on Vita as it is on PS4 and PS3. I gave it a 7.5
Yeah.
on Vita. It's actually like people are like saying like there's a little bit of slowdown, graphical fidelity's not as high. That stuff doesn't really bother me. The thing that bothered me on Vita was the control nubs are smaller, so rolling your thumb on the nubs in a twin stick shooter is just inherently harder. You have to like get
Okay, really, that's like the dirtiest sentence you've ever said.
Rolling your thumbs. on the
roll my
dude.
thumbs on the nubs.
Makes it harder.
It's harder.
Yeah, please, just stop now.
And yeah, so it was the control issues that were a problem. But some people have tweeted at me and left me messages and reviews saying that they actually found it easier on Vita. So
Interesting.
Teach his own. And I also acknowledge that Stardust I think is better on Vita and the control is the exact same way. So
It's one of those things.
just
Being
one of
able to
those
see the screen makes those twitchy games better, right? Like
Yeah.
when I went to when I was playing Titanfall with Alfredo, and I'm playing in the capture bays on a smaller TV, I was better there than when I got home and I was on the big screen in the living room.
because you have to like look around. So
Exactly.
Stardust was the same way. Like
Yeah.
it was when I had like a smaller TV in my room and I'd play Stardust on it. And then I got a huge TV and I like could not play the game anymore.
Yeah.
I was like I can't play this.
The shooters are good right up there. If in a universe where something I wish would never happen would happen, Radiant Silvergun would be on Vita, and I would never play anything else ever again. It always looks so good.
Bold.
It's
Very
not
bold.
going to happen though. No
Spicy.
one would buy it.
Number 12.
Number 12.
Release dates. Dragon Age Inquisition will launch on October 7th in North America and October 10th in Europe, and will be available on PS3 and PS4, as well
Trailer's
as
hot.
Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. Yeah, trailer's cool. Tales of Exilia 2 will come exclusively to PlayStation 3 on August 22nd. Can't fucking wait. And you know what I can't fucking wait even more for? Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair launches on Vita on September 2nd. Disgaea 4 A Promise Revealed comes to Vita on August 12th. And Fairy Fencer F comes to PS3 on September 23rd. Finally, a retail version of Minecraft on PS3 will be found starting on May 16th.
Your thoughts on Dragon Age? Expectations? What do you think?
I have none.
You
I
have
hated
none?
the first Dragon Age. And I never
Oh.
played the second one, so
Okay.
yeah. I'll play it, but I have no expectations.
Greg,
What?
do you have any thoughts on that?
No.
Not your thing?
No.
So Dragon Age 1, wonderful. Dragon Age 2, dropped the ball. Dragon Age 3, I think BioWare's smart enough to realize why they dropped the ball.
How can Dragon Age 2 be worse than the first one?
Because the first one is, if you don't like grindy, technical RPGs, you're not going to enjoy it. You're just not.
But I like
They
high
went way
fantasy,
too
and I like
actiony
grindy
with
RPGs.
two.
Huh?
They went way too actiony with two. Wasn't
with
that
two,
the
yeah,
problem?
two,
No,
and it was just kind of vapid and soulless on
Yeah.
top of that. It was very un-BioWare. But yeah, the actiony thing.
That's what I felt about the first Dragon Age.
Oh, you felt it was vapid?
I felt like it was on
Un-BioWare.
BioWare. I felt
Oh,
like that was
un-BioWare.
so inferior to Mass Effect in like every way. It was like totally different teams in 2 different universes of Edmonton.
Oh, that's interesting.
We're working on this.
No, I thought there was a lot of heart to it, so, and that it is very different than Mass Effect. I agree, but sorry, I'm just talking now.
No, it's just quality-wise, I felt like that game was lacking. But
Oh, well,
a
the
lot of
people
people
were-
said, you know, I played the PS3 version, which is the worst version, and that game was made for PC,
Yeah, it's true.
which
There's
is
that.
where I don't play games.
The trailer looks cool for Inquisition. I want to play it, but it's the same thing. I started each one of the other ones and just was like, no,
okay.
I'm doing this.
And there's a 13th story about an RPG on PS1 that's coming out. Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, because this is really, we've taken almost an hour to get here, but this is really the only news that matters today. So the ESRB rated Suikoden 2 today and announced that. Why does that matter? What is Suikoden 2? If you're scratching your head here, Suikoden 2 was a PlayStation RPG released by Konami in 1998, who brilliantly decided to market this game at the same time Final Fantasy VIII was coming out. So no one noticed it, and it was destroyed. Here in America, it has a little more of a following in Japan. Suikoden 2 is sublime. It is superb. It is, in my humble opinion, the only RPG from Japan better than Chrono Trigger. And why is that important? I can say better. Well, okay, let me give you a few reasons here. First, it's Game of Thrones, the RPG. Done right. It is a localized conflict. It is not about saving the world. It is, you start out with what you think is going to be a plucky band of teens, and then it turns itself on its head very quickly. And instead of following all the tropes, you're in a morally ambiguous, localized conflict between kingdoms. Friends are constantly betraying each other. People are being murdered. Unexpected twists and turns are happening. You fight the big bad in the middle of the game. There are almost no characters who are completely good or completely evil. You're always trying to figure out what's going on, where your footing's going to be next. There's twists and turns. You spend as much time building a kingdom and a group of people as you do fighting, and it's not boring. They find a way to make that work. It is beautiful pixel art. It was done in an SNES style, which was a huge turnoff to people then. And now when you look at old RPGs from the period that were 3D
look at Final
compared to
Fantasy
it,
VII.
yeah, and then you look at this and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. They did not waste a pixel. The colors are gorgeous. The soundtrack is as good as Chrono Trigger's, and that's saying a lot. And I love Chrono Trigger. I thought Chrono Trigger was the greatest RPG out there, and then I played Suikoden 2 after spending like $150 for it. And
Oh wow, so you didn't get it when it
I
came out.
walked out, heard about this game years ago, went out and found a copy and bought it, and I did not waste a cent.
'cause it's really rare.
Meaty, it's long, but it's never boring. The combat system is really quick, but still has strategic and tactical nuance to it. I can just go on and on. This is a must-buy. This is the best video game that you've never been able to play before. That is just true. At this point, where we talk about lost classics, in the queue of lost classics that have not been re-released, this is the top one now.
Wow.
Buy this game. It's so good.
All we know is it's been rated, right? Do we know what platforms or anything like that?
Well, it's rated
It's
for
just-
PS3, so
yeah,
So it's just
probably
a
PSN.
classic? Or?
Yeah. So I agree with what you're saying. First of all, this series resonated with me only a little bit in the 90s. I always called it Suikoden and didn't know the proper pronunciation of it until I worked here. Same thing with Ninja Gaiden.
That's okay. It's a Japanese corruption of a Chinese word, so
okay.
they're not pronouncing it right either.
But yeah, 2 specifically in the Suikoden or Suikoden franchise is well known for being the best by a lot of people and also by far the rarest. They didn't publish a lot of them. So if you have one, then you're very lucky because there's not many of them at all, and they are very expensive. And I feel bad for that market now because that market is going to be undercut very quickly because there's a digital version of it available now.
I love when people collect things, but I'm always going to come out on the side of people having access. This is a game people need to play.
Yeah.
And hooray for populism on this one. Bring down the collectors on this. I feel your
You
pain.
sold me on
but
it, Jared.
yeah.
I'll play it now.
It's fun.
Just because of you and your
Yeah.
impassioned speech.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a special game.
Gosh, you start out, you're little teenagers in a burning village. And
I
you're
never-
like,
I
this
never-
is gonna stink. And then it just takes a left turn and never stops.
Great.
It's great.
I never beat it when I was a kid.
Oh, it's so good.
That's it for news.
Well, do we know when Suikoden 2 is coming out?
No, because it hasn't even officially been announced. For all we know, this is all conjecture based on the rating. But when these games get rated, they almost always come out. And Suikoden 1 is already available on PSN, has been for years. So we'll know soon.
That was a long answer to say no, but I'd love to know what games came out this week, so I'm going to go to the the Andrew Goldfarb Memorial official list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors. Dun, 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 dun.
It's a decent week. Not great. Not bad.
The PlayStation 4 game we've all been waiting for finally came out.
Octodad.
Octo motherfucking Dad!
So let's start there. Yeah, PS4 Cell Damage HD is available digitally, and Octodad, Dadliest Catch, is available
Just
digitally.
just a game about being a normal dude, getting dressed for work.
That game made me laugh from my gut when I saw the trailer.
I wanna stream it on Twitch, and I just want you to sit next to me while I do it.
Because I had heard of the game but never saw it until I saw the trailer like 6 months ago when I was watching with Greg, and I started hysterically laughing. Like
You had some belly laughs.
Yeah.
You were really into
That's
it.
Because I'm like,
superb
it's so fucking stupid. I love it. On PS3, Cell Damage HD is available digitally, Defense Technica is available digitally, and Soul Calibur Lost Swords, which is free to play, is available digitally. On Vita, Cell Damage HD is available, and by the way, Cell Damage is cross-buy between the three platforms. Demon Gaze is available at retail and digitally. I've been playing it for a couple of months, but
How is
only
it?
here and there. It's
a lot of people asking about it today.
it's very old. Like it's pretty. It's the it's gonna offend some people because the women are very scantily clad in it, but it's very like first-person RPG going through the like Shadowgate or something, like going through the hallways and stuff. It's very like
But is it old like Emperor Palpatine, or is it old like Betty White?
old, like probably somewhere in between.
Oh, okay.
I think that some people are really going to look for a game like this, but this is probably not the game that a lot of people think it's going to be.
This isn't the game you're looking for.
No, but
It might be.
it might be. Our friends at NIS brought that out here. Starlight Inception is available digitally, which I'm very excited to play, and The Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 1. Apparently, Episode 1 and 2 will be available, but PlayStation Blog only has Episode 1 available. That will be
Sure.
available digitally on Vita, and you can buy the Season Pass for $20. So you can guarantee that all of them will come out.
Cool.
And
Finally.
yeah, they announced it. They were supposed to come out day and date.
Yep. Announced it in the summer.
yeah.
Said they're coming. You can play them all day and date. Not so much.
Maybe from here, though, will be available day and date.
That's the hope, I do believe. Final question of the week comes from Nathan. He writes into Podcast Beyond, like you can, by going to beyond@ign.com, and says, I picked up my PS4 a month ago. And one of the just over the crumbling papers. Picked up my PS4 a month ago, and one of the best new features, in my opinion, is the DualShock 4. The new controller is much more comfortable. The triggers are finely concave. The touchpad is great for interfacing with maps, and I love the light bar. I play in a dark room, and seeing my surroundings flash red when I'm low on health feels immersive and really grabs my attention. But you guys, along with the PlayStation community, all seem to hate it and have convinced Sony to add the ability to turn the light bar off in an upcoming update. And then he puts in parentheses, and you're even giving away stickers to cover it. I feel like I'm the only one who likes the light bar, so my question is this. Why do you hate the light bar so much? Do you think it has potential? How could it be implemented better? I would love to hear your opinions, Nathan. I don't hate the light bar. I do think it's too bright. I do think there should be an option to turn it off. I do think the Podcast Beyond stickers that cover it up from Toasty stickers are cool.
Yeah. And I think that it also is draining the battery of DualShock 4.
100% true.
Faster than they're already drained. The DualShock 4 just doesn't have great battery life. It's okay. Here's the thing, my friend.
Nathan.
My friend Nathan. Nathan Hale?
No, sadly not.
Oh.
He's dead.
Yeah. He had but one life to give for his PlayStation.
Well, I was talking about Nathan Hale from Resistance.
Oh.
Not
Wrong.
from
American
American
History.
Revolution.
Okay.
But I like him better.
That's a bold thing from you. Resistance and American history. Those are your two
I know,
favorite things.
that is my
Clash
two
of the
favorite things.
Titans. There.
Chimera versus George Washington. So the light bar on the DualShock 4 goes back to what we were talking about before, about the aspirations of Sony to include PlayStation camera with every PS4 sold.
Right.
And they could just remove the camera from the box and say we're not doing that anymore. But they cannot remove the light from the controller. There's just no way they can do that. They're being manufactured. They're done. It's done. And since the PlayStation camera is light, or the PlayStation camera and the light on the DualShock 4 is much like a PlayStation Move, they interact with each other. You're basically seeing a legacy of Sony's change between the announcement of the console and the release of the console.
Right.
This is the
and
appendix of this controller.
That's exactly right. It's just there's nothing they can do about it, and like probably even making it turn off the light with firmware is going to be really hard to do. I'm not totally convinced they're going to be able to do that. To be honest with you, like I don't know how you make the firmware tell the controller to shut off something that's just on all the time. Like
I don't think
don't-
it's that tough because you figure it's already telling it to change, what light it's showing. Like it knows to communicate. There should be one. I mean, and there's pulsating right when you're hurt sometimes. So
right,
if
but
you're
the
just
light
like-
is always being used. I guess I'm saying it's always on. Like it's just I don't know if like they were like they had the foresight to be like, should we have the ability to turn this off, or is it just on? It's just like you can't probably turn the X button off on
Sure.
the controller. You know what I mean? Like.
That could be an engineering conundrum.
Yeah, like, I don't know for sure, but I assume that if it was as easy as we thought it was, they would have done it already.
True.
So
But Shu knows he's got this list of things to get through.
yeah, I want them to change the PlayStation Network name thing first. Shu, it's about time. But yeah, so I think it's actually kind of interesting because it's a little relic from a time when they thought the camera would be included.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't a question so much as a statement. You just brought up the fact that you'd love to change your name. Another Greg wrote into Beyond@IGN.com and said, for years you have almost weekly warned the Beyond Nation of the dangers of not carefully thinking out their choice for a PSN alias. But I don't recall you ever giving further advice on what makes a good alias. So here's a tip for the Beyond Nation. Combine an adjective and a noun for a unique combination of words that typically do not go together. My alias, Funky Table, is available on any website I choose to go with the exception of that one darn X-bot, Funky Table from the UK. So I hope that helps Beyond.
Yeah.
Not a bad one, Greg. It's a good way to get around it, right?
I see good names all the time. Like coming up on the internet, my alias was Quickman, which was a Mega Man reference. So I didn't make that up, and then I just started being called C. Moriarty because I was writing on GameFAQs and I wanted to use my real name. So I never had to think of a clever handle, and sometimes I see people's handles that they've been using for
They're
a
really
long
good.
time.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
fucking good, and like they get them on PlayStation Network and they get them on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. I would love. Part of the reason I want to change my name so badly, I like my name on PSN, but I want to just see what I come up with.
Yeah.
Like I don't want any numbers or dashes or anything like that. I just want
Yeah.
a name.
Right.
And with God knows how many fucking PlayStation Network names there are, like taken already.
Yeah.
Can't be Bongbro 420. That's always our go-to
Yeah.
our go-to fake name.
Nip Slip 420.
Nip Slip.
Yeah.
Although there is a God help him, he's a good dude. But my favorite friend on my name is from the Haiti live stream we did.
Yeah.
Long Dong Silver.
Long Dawn. So
that's
he's the one who
still-
sent photos of his
wasn't
girlfriend
that the
in
name
the middle
Clarence
of it.
Thomas was supposed to have used with Anita Hill during the?
Really?
Yeah, I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
sure.
Well, that's-
I believe that came up in the trial when or not the trial, but the hearings. That was the name Clarence Thomas used with Anita Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for Podcast Beyond, episode 339. Remember, the MP3 goes up every Tuesday, the video every Wednesday, and you need to go to IGN.com to make sure the mics stay on. Read the articles, watch the videos, download our PlayStation 4 app, where you can watch every episode of Podcast Beyond that we've uploaded in full video form. Keep up with our antics on Twitter. IGN is IGN. I'm Game Over Greggy. Colin is No Taxation. The Reverend Jared Petty is Petty, Jared. Spell it out. It works. It's also on the screen if you're watching the video, which makes it really easy.
Cool.
though MGS1's is obviously all pixelated and stuff, it's at the exact same angle and exact same side of his face. So yeah, I think it's supposed to be another one of the many parallels to MGS1. I think there's a couple more in the next scene as well. Just can't think of them at the moment. The Grey Fox Bloody Hallway being the main one. But yeah, I think the Vamp Sniper Wolf thing is supposed to be intentional as well. Especially considering the Emma Merrill Wolf Vamp thing later on. This guy's crazy.
The game has to have some kind of fun gameplay mechanic for me. That's why
Peace Walker's active, and its self-defense system is targeting you, Snake. You better find a way to stop it quick.
Thank you. Okay, so now here's where the fun really starts. Yeah, no.
Self-defense system online. Launching S-mines.
Cluster bomb.
Face me. Launching S-mine.